Hello folks, how are you doing? If it's not great, it's about to get better. If you've ever felt paralyzed by the fear of interacting with others in public, even avoiding leaving home to dodge encounters, know that you're not alone. I know how it feels because I've been through it not just once, but actually twice in my life. But the good news is I conquered this challenge, and today I'm here to share my journey with you about what triggered my social anxiety, the symptoms I faced, how I overcame it, and finally how I won this battle. My goal in today's video is to help you overcome it too. I hope that my experience and the tips that helped me to conquer the social anxiety can make a difference in the lives of those struggling with this monster. Let's do this! I'm Sarah Lippi and I'm thrilled you are here. So if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, which is new, do me a favor, subscribe and hit the bell button to get notified as soon as I post my next video. And I promise it will always be uplifting content. So let's dive into my experience of how I overcame social anxiety. My experience with social anxiety came at different times and in different ways twice. The first time was about 22 years ago, and the second time was just a few months ago. Let's start by talking about the symptoms of social anxiety disorder I felt during these two times. The first time I had social anxiety was so overwhelming that I asked my parents to take me to a psychiatrist because the symptoms were not normal at all. I had to take a bus to my work at this film production company back then, and I started to notice that I trembled inside a reasonably crowded bus. I couldn't stand beside people, and being in the middle of two people was insane. I had a fever if something touched me. I kept shrinking, trembling all over. It was very bizarre. I've always been a people person. Who knows me knows that I'm very happy all the time, and I've always loved a bit of chaos. I had many friends back then and enjoyed being in the middle of the crowd. I never had trouble socializing, quite the opposite. How many times I did go out alone because I like making new friends. But at that time, I started to notice that when a friend touched me, hugged me, or held my hands, I felt uncomfortable too and started trembling, just like when I was on the bus. I remember that at the time, I couldn't have a boyfriend because no one could touch my arms, let alone kiss me. Even though I was living in the situation, I didn't mind going out with my friends. I went out normally. But the second symptom began to appear very strongly to that point that I realized I was really sick. When I went to parties with my friends, or not necessarily a party, any other place, every time I left the place, I would overthink, thinking that people were talking about me and judging me behind my back. It was awful. And that was much stronger than me. That was something I could not control it. It became an obsession for many months, to the point that I went to my parents and asked them to take me to a psychiatrist because it was repressing me and I couldn't be who I am. Then, the day of the appointment came. My parents were waiting in the little room and I entered the office. The psychiatrist was a character. He looked like Albert Einstein. He had a very wild hair, all messed up, super modern. Then he asked what I was feeling, and I told him in detail. He looked at me and said, for my surprise, "See all those people waiting in the waiting room? I can't waste my time with you. You don't have enough problems for me to solve." I was shocked because I was feeling like I was getting crazy. Then I started to insist, because I'm a very persistent person, and told him that I did have problems, that he needed to treat me because I was going crazy. Then he got up and asked me to leave and find a therapist because I was just needy for someone to talk to who would understand me and give me some advice. So I went to find a therapist nearby, right there near to my work. It was my first time doing therapy, but I will tell you what happened in a few seconds. Hold on, because now I'm going to tell you about my second experience first with the social anxiety a few months ago, and I only managed to get rid of it completely 2 weeks ago. Then I will tell you what happened at my therapist during my first experience. As I said, I've always liked being in the middle of the crowd, right? One observation, I am a highly sensitive person. So when I say I love being in the middle of the crowd, it does not mean I love spending the whole day there, because I feel mentally drained, because we highly sensitive people feel like the energy of people. So we always need some time alone to recharge our energy. So I've always had my extroverted side where I love being among people, but I also have my introverted side, which I realized it became super strong last year. So I only wanted to be home. I started to be afraid of leaving home and encountering people. So I isolated myself even from my friends. I thought my introverted side was speaking louder and had no idea it could be social anxiety. I only found out that I had social anxiety these 2 times when I watched a video by a psychologist on YouTube and saw that the symptoms matched my 2 experiences as well. That's when I decided to record this video, because I saw that this type of anxiety is more common than we can imagine. And my experience can certainly help many people get rid of this anxiety once and for all. The second time, I isolated myself completely. But I didn't tell anyone what I was feeling. I was going through a very strong obstacle and thought the best way to overcome this challenge was to isolate myself from people. I had no motivation to meet my friends. They invited me to go out. I loved them. I said I would, but I always found an excuse to not go on the day. And this started to affect my friendships, because I was given the impression that I wasn't interested to being with them at all. Another symptom I started to feel at my job. I have a digital marketing agency, and I have always been an excellent communicator. But during this phase, my communication skills disappeared. I was afraid to talk to my clients, and when I did talk to them, I couldn't express myself the way I was always doing. I delayed all my work. I kind of lost the pleasure of talking to people in general. I'm part of a group of entrepreneurs, and we meet every week. And there we have to sell our fish in a 1-minute presentation. I almost died during this presentation. My self-esteem was very low. I was very nervous, and I even missed it twice because I didn't have the strength to go. And this became very worrying, because in this group, which is called BNI, you lose your spot if you miss 3 times in 6 months, and it's very hard for you to get in. I could say that I was sick, I couldn't go, but I couldn't stop going there because I'm growing my business and I need clients. So how can I stop working? I have a son to raise. I can't get sick. Also, when I went out with my dog, I11, I avoided stopping to talk to people, which this is something that I love doing. I would love to know your experiences. Please put in the comments below. Why did these 2 experiences happen to me? Environment and life experiences. Traumatic experiences such as emotional abuse or negative social experiences can contribute to the development of social anxiety. Overprotective or critical family environments can also influence. Social pressures, cultural norms, and expectations about social behavior can also contribute to the development of social anxiety. For example, when I was younger, many people loved my personality, my tourist sense, a bit crazy, super talkative, modern, but there were people who criticized me a lot for being who I was. So, to avoid conflicts and fit into certain groups, I had to be a completely different person from who I am. So I think that also contributed to my social anxiety the first time. Past traumas. Past experiences of rejection, ridicule, or negative social situations can create a persistent fear of social interaction. This cause was one of the strongest I experienced before my 2 experiences with social anxiety. So I believe that it helped a lot in triggering this anxiety. So now that I've told you about my symptoms and the possible causes of this monster, let me tell you how I overcame social anxiety to turn things around. So grab a pen and a notebook to write down what I did to overcome social anxiety, both the first and the second time. Well, recognizing that something was wrong with me was the first step. It's very important that we recognize that something is wrong and that if it's affecting our lives, we urgently need to seek help. That's when I met my therapist for the first time 22 years ago, right? She talked a lot with me at the time and helped me to understand many things and people around me. So sometimes there are people who seem to be hurting on you, but they don't even know it. They are not doing it in purpose. But of course, there are toxic people, and at the time, there were some people that I wanted to stay away from, but others didn't. So doing therapy was liberating. They also prescribed a floral remedy that helped me calm down. As for the social anxiety the second time, I was already smarter. I had a therapist I met since the pandemic, and then when I met through this experience the second time, she was already by my side, giving me all the support I needed. It's very important that you seek treatment with a psychologist or a therapist. Being in touch with nature. I've never been a nature girl. I was born in São Paulo, in Brazil, and always considered myself a city girl. But there is nothing better to kill social anxiety, in my experience, than being in touch with nature. In my first experience, I went with some friends to Chapada Diamantina. Oh my God, a stunning place for people that love hiking in Brazil, and decided to put my bare feet in the mud. When I got there, the first thing I did was to take off my shoes and step on the mud. It was very muddy. That was liberating for me. But what freed me from social anxiety was that I believed that by stepping on the mud, I would be cured. So I believe that faith moves mountains. The second time, I started taking my little dog for a walk in the woods. Here in my neighborhood, there are many parks, lots of greenery. So I started doing that and I fell in love. When you cross paths with people on the street, do your best to try to connect by saying hi, looking to their eyes. I know it's hard because I've been through moments where I even crossed the street to avoid my neighbors. But gradually, my brain got used to the idea of seeing people again, and this is what is going to happen to you as well. Open your heart and share with the people closest to you, like your family and your friends. In my first experience with social anxiety, I told my parents. This second time, I only told my therapist, so I felt safe. I didn't share this feeling to my clients, but I told them that I had just got separated, that I was feeling heartbreaking and very disappointed with everything and people involved in this horrible obstacle that I was facing at the moment. So I apologized and I asked them to be patient with me. that I didn't want to lose them, and everything was very good in the end. They were very supportive. Be strong and gradually meet up with friends in social settings. With my first experience with social anxiety, I would go to places, but I felt terrible among people that I didn't know, and even worse afterwards when I left. In the second experience, I didn't feel like leaving my home at all. So I took some time for myself because loneliness is also good. For us to reflect, for us to learn from our mistakes, and to do amazing life, because life is good. I love being alone with myself, but it's very important to be with friends as well. So first, I started meeting one friend at a time alone, without the group, and they started to realize that the problem was with me and not with them. As for public speaking in BNI, I had no other choice, so I practiced a lot what I had to say and became the salesperson when I had to sell my fish. To be honest, it was very difficult because I didn't feel good there. I didn't feel good anywhere. I wanted to be home, but I went there. I practiced what I had to say and I said it. Today, I can say that I've overcome social anxiety because the desire to go out with my friends came back. Woohoo! Thanks God! 2 weeks ago, I met my friend Lou, met some of her friends as well, and I already added them on my Facebook and Instagram because I am willing to make new friends. I'm alive! Ai, que delícia! Last Friday, we had a girls' night at Lou's house with the girls from our group. It was wonderful. I got too excited. It was perfect. I let go, and that's when I started to realize I'm finally free. Thanks God. I was feeling like in a prison. Now I feel like life is finally going to be wonderful with me. Get to know yourself better by doing therapy, because then you will start not to care about what other people's opinions or judgments. You will be you, both inside and outside your home. Learn to value yourself more and distance yourself from people who bring you down. Don't listen to those people who have been taken by Satan to distract you from the incredible purpose that God has in your life. If you've been through a lot of bullying and rejection, it's likely that your social anxiety is for these reasons, perhaps. So, my dear, be more yourself and focus on those people who truly love you for real. Don't listen to negative voices that appear in your head saying that people don't like you. Sometimes that's just in your head, because it happens to me. It has happened several times. How many times I have judged people thinking they didn't like me, but I was wrong. And then I felt ashamed of myself. Overcome your fear and trust that God loves you and that you're special and there is a big world out there waiting for you. You are so special that your light bothers several people who are in the darkness right now, because whoever criticizes you and can see the light within you is spiritually blind. So, why trust these people? Why wanna be around them? Trust the purpose that God has in your life. And if you're going through this challenge right now, it's because the universe is only testing you. This problem is not gonna be with you forever. This is just a test. You will get through this in the name of Jesus. Hallelujah. I am 100% sure that you will be fine, as I am feeling right now. You are strong, and I'm sure that if you follow my tips, you will improve. I would love to know which symptoms you've had or still feeling in the comments below. Then you come here in the future to comment again to let me know how you're feeling, because I care about you. So that's it. The video is ending and I can't finish it without expressing my gratitude for having you here with me until the end. So I'm going to ask you to give this video a like and share it with someone you think that is also facing the social anxiety. Big hug, and I see you in the next video.